Welcome to today's show. Today we've got one of our more popular topics that I constantly have questions about and have lots and lots and lots of experience in dealing with in workplaces. As always, the ideas for the shows come from you at CourtneyAnderson.com, so continue to send those in. This topic is about love and passion and sex and power and money. And it has to do with the issue of sexual harassment. And lots of people get angry with me when we talk about this subject, and they say, you know, the government is trying to stop love. They don't want people to be happy. And I want to say here from the very outset of this episode, absolutely not. The government supports love. Love is a wonderful thing. But there's some people who don't understand. They just don't understand what love is and what something called harassment is. They don't understand the line between love. Love is healthy and beautiful and wonderful. And love is over here. The government supports love. We support love. Every business supports love. The world needs love. Love makes the world go round. And there's a line. There's a line right here. This is the line. On this side of the line is love. Wonderful, beautiful. And then here's the line. And this is the line where there's something called harassment. And when we cross over this line and we move from love and we cross the line and now we're in harassment, then we have issues. Let's talk about it. We talked about crossing that line between love, which is wonderful and beautiful, and songs are written about, and movies and poems. As long as humans have been alive, we've immortalized and anguished over love. It's beautiful. And then there's that line where there's something called harassment. And harassment is a modern, legal, and business issue. And that's something that we're going to talk about in our episode. As you know, I specialize in 3 areas. I specialize in answering questions of what I can and cannot do. What I can and cannot do. And that's where the law comes in, gives us answers. And then I specialize in answering the question what I should and shouldn't do. What should I do? What shouldn't I do? And that's where our business knowledge and management comes in. Sometimes ethics, business ethics come in and answer the question what I should and shouldn't do. And then lastly, we deal with the question of why do I do what I do? Why? And that's where the question of personal empowerment and sort of this psychological aspect comes in. The easy thing about the line between love, and harassment, right? There's a line. Harassment is easy. There's a law, tells us what we can and cannot do. There's so much business management and leadership information and ethics telling us what we should and shouldn't do. And then we can even answer the psychological questions of why do I do what I do? So let's start at the very easy part, the law. What does the law say? Well, the law, of course, says nothing about love, right? Because love is over here. Love is over here on the other side of the line. Love is wonderful. But there's a law, and it's actually the law that was called the Civil Rights Act in 1964. That's the name of the law. And within that law, it talks about the fact that gender should never be an issue at work. So you can't say to somebody, I'm not going to give you a promotion because you're a girl and girls are dumb. That's illegal. You also, the courts interpreted later, can't make decisions, okay, based on sexual issues, okay? They took the gender and they also later interpreted, the courts did, that you can't harass somebody because of their gender. And that's where this sexual harassment idea comes in. And the idea is that there's basically 2 things that you're not allowed to do at work. Easy. The first thing is you cannot create what's called a hostile work environment. You can't have somebody come to work and they're ready to do their job and they're on time and they're excited and they're a great worker and then have this environment where they can't even do their job because they're being treated in a way that actually interferes. It interferes with their ability to do their job because of some sort of harassment related to gender or sex. So that's the first type. And the second type, this is so easy. The second type is called quid pro quo. quid pro quo. A little Latin today. And this Latin is really simple. The Latin simply means this for that. So quid pro quo means this for that. You can't trade this for that. Now in this setting, the trade is that you cannot trade any type of sexual act or favor. Sexual act or favor, you cannot trade that for anything related to the job, like a pay raise, a promotion, a better parking space, a nicer uniform, nothing. No trade. No trade. You cannot trade sexual act or favor, cannot trade sexual act or favor for anything related to the job. That trade is prohibited. It's called quid pro quo. Now lots of people say, well, I'm a little confused. I'm a little confused by that. I'm a little confused. Courtney, can you help? Can you help clarify? I'm going to try to give a little example. Quid pro quo is the idea that I cannot trade a sexual act or favor, this, for something of value, that. Let's do a little case scenario. Let's do a little case scenario. Now, let's imagine that I'm traveling, I'm on the road, and I'm going to do my corporate training or give a keynote speech. And as many of you know, I spent many years where I traveled 300 days on the road, internationally, around the world, coming to visit you at your organization or to come to your seminar or event and to give a speech. So I spent a lot of time by myself in hotel rooms. So let's do our case scenario. Let's imagine that I'm in a city where I'm going to be doing a speech. And it's a city I don't live in, I don't have any friends there. And let's say that I'm in my hotel room and it's 11:30 at night and I've flown in and I'm in my room and I'm bored. I don't have to work until the next day where I'm going to give my speech. And so I'm there in my hotel room and I'm bored and I'm a little lonely. I'm a little lonely. As many of you know, I'm still a single lady, still a single unmarried lady. And let's say it's 11:30, I'm in my hotel room, I'm a little bored, I'm a little lonely, so I say to myself, I'm going to leave my hotel room. Let's say I'm in a big city, and I leave my hotel room and I walk down to the nearest street corner, right there in front of my hotel. So I leave my hotel, I walk outside of the street corner, and I stand on the street corner, just because, I'm bored, a little lonely, And a car drives by, car's driving by on the street. And let's say that I motion to somebody in the car and I say, pull over. So if I'm standing on the street corner and I ask somebody to pull over, and they do. And if I say to the person in the car, let's say just happens to be a gorgeous, really good looking guy. And if I say to him, hey, I'll do something sexual if you give me $30. What would it be called if I was standing on a street corner and said to somebody, I'll do something sexual if you give me $30? Now I know some of you are saying, well, that would be extremely cheap. I know others of you are thinking, wait a minute, I'm not a lawyer, I don't really care about law, but I think I know the answer to this. If you're thinking that this is prostitution, you would be 100% correct. If I went and stood on a street corner and offered to trade this, a sexual act or favor, for something of value, like money, like $30 or anything of value, if I made that trade standing on the street corner, it would be prostitution. Now, could I be arrested? Could I be arrested for just making that offer standing on the street corner in most parts of this country? The answer is yes. Yes. And most of you didn't have to go to any sort of specialized, advanced sexual harassment training to understand this trade is not permitted. So we always ask ourselves, right? What I can and cannot do, what the law says, and we already know. I don't need a special class. I don't need a consultant to tell me I shouldn't stand on street corners and offer to trade sexual acts for something of value. Prostitution, What if the person that I offered in the car, what if that person turned to me and said, I am so glad you asked. I've been looking for somebody like you all night. I would love to take you up on your offer. What if the person in the car agreed and they were happy and went along with my trade? What if they wanted to do it? If they agreed to it, would it be perfectly legal and 100% okay? Could I go to court if I was arrested and say, Your Honor, I stood on the street corner. I offered to trade sexual act or favor for something of value like money, but the person said they wanted it. They agreed to it. They're an adult. They're over 18. Would that make it perfectly legal? Would I just walk out of the courthouse? Hint, the answer is no. It is prostitution to make the offer and the trade, whether the other party agrees or not. That's not the point. The point is the trade is illegal. Sexual act or favor, something of value, illegal. If you do it outside of work, it's called prostitution. If you leave the street corner and you enter into your office and to your business, it's called quid pro quo sexual harassment. It's the same trade. So a few years ago, as an attorney, I had a situation, a case I was involved in where a female manager went to a male subordinate and made some comments about getting naked in a hot tub that she had and how she would enjoy that. She would enjoy if he would come over and get naked in her hot tub. She thought that would be great. And then she's shocked that that's sexual harassment. Asking someone to take off their clothes and get in your hot tub, that's a sexual act. Now, some of you may be thinking, what? How do you know? I mean, maybe she just wanted to talk to him about something at work. And maybe she just is more comfortable in her hot tub. Maybe that's just her favorite place to have meetings. And maybe she has back problems. And when she's in her hot tub and she's getting her jet treatment, okay, maybe that's where she's happiest and more comfortable. And that's why she invited him there, just to talk business? Just to talk business? Okay. There's a test that I first learned about in law school a long time ago, and it boiled down to something called the laugh test. Okay, the laugh test. And so basically, you just want to think to yourself, what would a reasonable person think? Would a reasonable person think that a manager who does not work at a hot tub store, this was not a hot tub business, okay? Just want to add this. That a manager who does not work at a hot tub store invites a team member and specifically says, I want you naked in my hot tub, after hours. Would a reasonable person laugh at that as a business meeting? Or would a reasonable person think, oh yes, that's absolutely normal. That's exactly how most people handle their business. Hint, the answer should be that people would laugh. The standard legally is reasonable person. Would a reasonable person think that this is sexual act or favor for something of value? That's the standard. That trade or that offer for the trade, outside of work, prostitution. Inside of work, quid pro quo sexual harassment. A few years ago, I'm working in a casino environment, and I have a tale that's told to me by a team member. Team member basically says that they're a wait staff person, and that there's a supervisor, so it's a female team member, wait staff, and there's a male supervisor. And the male supervisor basically says to the team member, I want you to come over here with me in this closet, kind of this closet area. And then when they were in there, the male supervisor basically says, he describes a sexual act that he would like this young lady to perform on him. And he says that if this happens, then he promises he'll schedule her for all the good shifts. And by good shifts, and I've also been a waitress and in a former life, one of my jobs I held when I was in college, if you're a waitress working for tips, a good shift is when it's busy, right? So that's going to be evenings, weekends, when it's busy, you'll make more money. A bad shift is when there's nobody there. If I can't wait on anybody, I can't get any tips. So the young lady asked me, she said, is that what you're talking about? Is that this quid pro quo that we were just talking about? The answer is yes. That's exactly what I'm talking about. If someone is a manager or supervisor, or acting as a manager or supervisor, they cannot offer to make or make any sexual acts or favor trades for something related to the job. You can't offer to make it, you can't make it. It is not a defense to quid pro quo to say, well, they were over 18 and they accepted it, they liked it. Just like standing on the street corner, it's not a defense. It's not a defense at work. The trade itself is illegal. It's illegal. Quid pro quo is easy to prevent. Very easy. If you're a manager or a supervisor and you're looking for love, okay, I strongly suggest that you look for love outside of the group of people that you supervise. Okay? Because it seems to be that's where people get into trouble. Because the manager or supervisor says, well, I was just trying to tell them I thought they were attractive. I was trying to date them. Okay. A lot of organizations, in fact, have clauses where they forbid supervisors from dating somebody they supervise, and this is exactly why. Because it's implied. If I'm a manager and I'm dating one of my team members, and even if I haven't made a trade, I haven't offered a trade or made a trade, but everybody at the office knows we're dating. People talk, people gossip. And the other team members know I'm dating this team member. They believe, even if it's not true, they believe the perception is there that he's going to get special treatment. That's a problem. That's a problem when we're trying to motivate people, have them work as teams. It's a huge problem. So I either need to look for love elsewhere, okay, somebody I don't supervise, or maybe I need to change job positions. But when you choose to be a supervisor or a leader, with that comes a lot of great benefits and a little bit more responsibility. So quid pro quo, don't offer to make a trade, don't make a trade. I've had a lot of issues over the years, a lot with both women and men managers. I had a woman manager take off her clothes at work, kind of back off the retail sales floor. She said she was just trying to show everybody her beautiful breast implants. Again, no. It's not part of your job to show people any of your genitals. Don't do it. I've had a ton of cases with men and women supervisors disrobed or calling someone into their office and sort of sitting in a way where things are exposed. Will it pass the laugh test? Because if it won't, you're in trouble. And if it's not part of your job, in other words, if your job doesn't require you to take off your clothes and show your genitals to your team members, don't do it. See, that's so easy. That's so easy. If it's not part of your job, don't do it. That's what I advise clients. So easy. The next part is about hostile work environment. And this comes down to one challenge, I think. And I understand this as a single person. I understand it. This is about people who are not in a supervisor relationship at all. It's not a trade, but it's where someone crosses that line we talked about earlier and it becomes harassment. They're harassing somebody. They're interfering with their ability to do their job. It's like if I was at a job and I wasn't a supervisor and I was my first day on the job and I saw a coworker, and we'll call him Fernando. And if I saw Fernando walk by and my heart raced a little, and in my mind I thought, Fernando, he's hot, I like him. If I went up to Fernando later that week, my first week, and I said, hi, I'm Courtney. I just started here and just wanted to say hi. And I was wondering, would you like to go for a coffee later? Now, if I just say that, have I harassed Fernando? The answer is no. You're allowed to ask people out for coffee. You're allowed to be social and have fun at work, of course. The challenge is you have to learn where your behavior becomes unwelcome. If your behavior is unwelcome, it's harassment. See? If it's unwelcome, it's harassment. If it's welcome, not harassment. So you just think, okay, well, how do I know if it's welcome? If I went up to Fernando and I said, you want to go for coffee? And he said, no, I got plans. What does that mean? If I heard him say he has plans, and I thought to myself, the games they play. And I went to Fernando the very next day and I said, hey, Fernando, you want to get a coffee later? And he said, no, I told you, I'm busy. And I saw Fernando later on that week, and I said, hey, Fernando, what are you doing? You want to get to dinner later? You want to get together? You want to get together later? I'm free. And he says, I told you, I'm busy. And then I see him the next day driving away in the parking lot, and I run after his car. Hey, Fernando, you want to get together? Have I crossed the line anywhere to become unwelcome? The answer is yes. How do I know it's unwelcome? Because if it was welcome, Fernando would say, yes, I want to go to coffee with you. What's your phone number? Do you want to go after work? When are you free? I'll call you. I'll pick you up. These are all clues it's welcome. If you think in your mind that somebody's playing hard to get, they're not. I want you to listen very closely. They do not want you. They do not want you. Now, I know that's hard to hear. Rejection, we all hate it. But that's what the law requires. We're adults. If you start to cross the line and you're doing something unwelcome, it could be sexual harassment at work. And I'll also throw this in. There are also criminal laws about stalking that you also may have a problem with. So when we look at this issue, it has a lot of applicability to our lives, not just at work. We did the whole thing about standing on the street corner. We just learned that lesson, prevented all those problems. We know if we do that at work, it's quid pro quo. We know if we do something that crosses the line and it's unwelcome, like asking them out, okay, touching them, okay, saying something sexual to them, it's unwelcome. We might not just have a hostile work environment problem at work and our job in jeopardy. We may have a stalking criminal problem. I could go to jail for stalking. So we've covered a lot in this episode. As always, please continue to come to CourtneyAnderson.com. And I appreciate you taking a little bit of time to be with me today. This is a big, big issue, but I hope you leave here understanding. Everybody wants you to find love. And good luck.